Hello, St. Paul United Methodist. This is our first spiritual discipline video, practice video of what will hopefully be many through the next 6 weeks as we practice different disciplines. And this week we're doing silence. So later on in the week we're going to be doing centering prayer, which is a form of practicing silence, and self-emptying is what they call it, a holy self-emptying. But today is going to be very easy, very easily accessible, just practicing silence intentionally, which means making that time to be silent in the presence of God. And I think of it like if there's someone that you care about deeply, you don't spend time with them as time comes. You don't give them whatever's left over, but you set aside time to be with them. And that's very much the way our faith and our practices of faith with God can be, is that we don't just give God whatever's left over, but we set aside time to be with God. Part of that is what we do on Sunday morning, and part of that can be a time like this, practicing silence. So the first thing is picking the right space. I found an armchair in a secluded room. My dogs are in the other room, so they won't be jumping up on me. If you have kids, maybe your significant other can take them for a little bit while you practice this. And this practice only takes 5 or 10 minutes, so it doesn't take very long. And so finding a place that's comfortable, maybe not your bed, so that you aren't tempted to fall asleep, though if you fall asleep, that's okay. Finding a comfortable chair, a place that has good lighting, or maybe a nice view. You could even do this outside. I know that there are other noises outside, but sometimes that's a place of peace and of silence. A place away from distractions, so not near your computer, not near the bills in the mail, not near your TV, even away from your bookshelf. My bookshelf's over there, which is tempting, but I'm going to refrain, where you can just sit and commit yourself to the time. I'm going to be in this seat for 10 minutes, for 5 minutes, for 3 minutes. And a way to help commit to that time is to have a timer. I have one on my watch. You might have one on your phone. Whatever works best for you. Somehow by having a set timer, in my experience, I'm able to be more present in the time and in the moment than if I was just guessing how long I've been here. Because silence is difficult, we tend to let our mind flutter and wander, and having a timer helps to ensure we have the boundary we need to get up and go back to whatever else we're doing. So the first thing I'll say is, as you're practicing silence, you'll notice that silence is not so silent. You're going to hear cars, you're going to hear the hustle and bustle of your house, you'll hear the air conditioning kicking on, and all those things are okay. In fact, rarely is silence pure, absolute silence. It's a little eerie when you get that kind of silence. So just let those noises be, and you can acknowledge them if you need to. Another thing is that things might pop up across your mind as you're practicing silence. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And we often guilt ourselves for that, but that's completely normal, and those things are important. So I would suggest a few different ways of honoring those things and moving on so that you can continue to be present in the moment. One is with your breathing. Let's say I'm practicing silence and I'm reminded that I have to do the dishes. It might be good for me to breathe in to acknowledge that I have to do the dishes, and then breathe out to release it. But I'm going to do them later. Whatever, or maybe it's having some sort of gesture, some sort of physical manifestation of releasing. So, you might hold your hands like this or like this, and then as you release that thing which is distracting you, you can move your hands or release your grip, whatever is going to work. Another thing that is often common is to find a verse or a passage of scripture that works for you. So one that I've picked today is Psalm 37:7, which says, "Be still before God and wait for him," very appropriate. And with that, I would breathe in, "Be still before God," and I would breathe out and wait for him. Be still before God and wait for him. It can be any verse that you love that's comforting, that brings peace to your soul. And just focus on that if you're having distraction problems or you're thinking about other things. And I think you'll find if you focus on your breathing, if you focus on a scripture or even a saying or a prayer, the time will go quickly. And you can do all that while still practicing silence, while remaining silent, while being in silence. And what we'll do is centering prayer when we do that later in the week is practice what it means to get to that place where we have left all those things behind and are just being in the silence. And I think hopefully you'll find even a little bit of time will give you some peace and help you feel more connected with God's presence, even in this space. And as Christians, we don't believe that we bring God's presence into the room. God is present in all places. He's present right now. He's present in our worship. He's present when we're at the supermarket. And so we're just getting to tap into that. So I have my timer set on my watch, and I am going to turn that on for 2 minutes. I'm not going to leave the camera on for all 2 minutes. So feel free to set your timer for 2 minutes, and then we will practice silence for 2 minutes. Ready? Go. So find a comfortable posture and begin to breathe. So my timer went up after 2 minutes. Before you leave this silent space, just take a moment to jot down how you felt. Was it frustrating? Was it enjoyable? Was it peaceful? Was it anxiety-inducing? Any emotions you might have or reactions. And again, silence is one of those things like any practice, like exercise. The more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes, and maybe the less prep it'll take next time. So try to carve out just 5 minutes a day. Start small. And as you feel more comfortable, add more if you need to practice silence. And what you'll find is even carving out that time, you'll make space for other things, for other prayer practices, for other spiritual practices. But I think silence is a really easy one to start with. So look forward to centering prayer later this week and continuing to practice these with you. Feel free to come back and visit this video if it was helpful to you. And I'm thankful. And if you're someone who would like to share a spiritual practice that you do at home, feel free to let me know, and we can set it up so that you can help lead us as a congregation. And thank you all. God bless, and have a good evening.